Welcome to this deep dive. Today we'll be exploring how to take African music global, but it's not just about getting music out there. It's bigger than that, right?
Yeah, we're really talking about a movement, a whole cultural wave. And these sources we've got, they really highlight some smart strategies for artists.
I'm really excited to dig into all that, and especially because, well, African music is so diverse, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
We're talking everything from Afro beats to, high life, amapiano, and each genre, well, it needs its own approach.
And that's what makes this so fascinating, that diversity. And it brings us right to a key point from these sources, the importance of the right music promotion agency. Not just someone who knows music, but someone who gets African music right.
For example, like High Life Music, an agency that understands high life, they know how important certain instruments are to that sound, how those instruments connect with the audience.
So it's like they're cultural translators as much as promoters.
Yeah, exactly. They're translating the music, but also the context where it comes from. And they need like serious connections in the industry. Imagine an agency, they connect an Afrobeats artist with a producer known for, Yoruba rhythms. That kind of strategy can take an artist far.
But connections aren't everything, are they? What about an agency's track record I'm seeing that's emphasized in these sources even more than just who they know?
Absolutely. You want proof they can deliver results, especially when an artist is breaking into the international scene. Look at their success stories, their client testimonials, and ask the tough questions when you talk to them.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me in these sources was how they stressed a comprehensive approach. It's not just playlists, it's the whole package, branding, marketing, even like crisis communication.
Right. It's like having a whole team behind you, focusing on every part of your career. A good agency, they offer all those services, but, tailored to what that artist needs.
So it's more a partnership than just like a business deal. And that brings us to the digital age. I mean, these sources are clear. Online presence is everything these days.
No question. Think about how people listen to music now. Streaming, social media, online music communities, it's all digital.
And when it comes to online promotion, one thing that jumped out was influencer marketing. It seems really effective for African musicians specifically.
Yeah, there's this example in one article, an piano artist. They partnered with a big social media personality in South Africa. This influencer had like a huge following with young people.
So the influencer shared the artist's music. What was the outcome?
The artist's streams exploded. Really shows the power of a good influencer campaign.
But it's not just about those first clicks and streams, right? It's about making a lasting impact. And that takes us to brand development.
Yeah, we're talking about building a unique identity, a visual style that people recognize instantly. Your logo, your bio, maybe merch, it all builds that brand.
One expert said, a logo is more than an image. It's a visual representation of your brand. And that made me think how strong that visual side can be.
Right, it needs to be memorable, capture what the music's all about. It's like your first impression, that visual hook.
Okay, so we've got finding the right partners, using digital tools, building a brand. We're getting somewhere, but there's something else we need to discuss.
I know what you mean, cultural sensitivity. How do we make sure we're promoting African music globally, but doing it respectfully?
Exactly. And that's something we'll get into more after a quick break. Stick around.
So we were talking about branding, but it hit me. Promoting African music, it's not just marketing, is it? It's more like a cultural exchange. So how do we make sure we're doing that right, authentically and respectfully?
That's where this whole idea of cultural sensitivity comes in, yeah? And reading these sources, what really stuck with me was, well, we need to go beyond just marketing tactics and really think about the ethics of it all.
So it's about understanding the stories behind the music, the traditions, not just getting it onto playlists. Exactly. One expert put it like this. We're bridging a gap between African music and global audiences, but we have to be careful. Appreciation can't turn into appropriation. That really resonated.
It's a big difference, isn't it? Appreciation means honoring where something comes from, but appropriation, that's like taking without understanding, without giving credit.
And these sources, they offer some good ways to make sure we're promoting with genuine appreciation. Like, education is huge. Agencies, the media, even fans, we all need to learn about the culture behind the music.
One source even suggests working with cultural experts, historians, maybe even the artists themselves to get those stories right.
That's a great idea. I mean, imagine how much richer a campaign would be if you're working with people who, they live that culture, they breathe it.
Makes me think how we can't just talk about African music as if it's one big thing, right? It's way too diverse for that.
Absolutely. We're talking a whole continent, so many cultures, so many musical traditions. To lump it all together, that just wouldn't do it justice.
Reminds me of something I read about how Emma piano music evolved in South Africa. That unique sound, it came from very specific influences, social and cultural.
And those details get lost if we don't pay attention, you know, to each genre, each region. We should be celebrating that diversity, not ignoring it.
Okay, so cultural understanding is key, but there's this other side of ethical promotion that I found interesting. Making sure the artists and communities where this music comes from, that they actually benefit financially.
Oh, that's so important. One source actually talked about, how there are these unfair contracts sometimes, exploitation even, artists not getting paid fairly for their work.
It's really sad when you think about how much this music enriches so many lives globally. We need to make sure the creators share in that success, don't we?
Yeah, transparency and ethical partnerships are key there.
Yeah.
Imagine an agency. They not only promote the music, but they invest in those communities where the artists are from. That kind of approach could change everything.
Inspiring to think about, but it's not just on the industry, right? Us as listeners, we have a responsibility too.
Oh, for sure. We need to be conscious, support artists directly, maybe even research the culture behind the music we love.
It's more than just enjoying the music, it's engaging with it, Understanding where it comes from, appreciating the people who make it. We're building a bridge, not just consuming a product.
Well said. And that leads to something else that came up in these sources, the role of, media and live performances. How those can help promote African music globally.
I noticed how they stressed media beyond just music magazines, like mainstream news, talk shows, even lifestyle magazines. Getting exposure in those spaces, that can introduce the music to a whole new audience.
Yeah, it's about breaking out of those boxes, showing the world this isn't niche music, it's a global force.
And then there's live shows. There's nothing like experiencing music live, that connection between artist and audience.
Totally agree. One article said it's like bringing the music to life, which I think is perfect.
It makes me think, how impactful would it be to see more African artists headlining those big international festivals, even doing their own world tours?
Right. And the sources suggest that actually agencies are starting to prioritize those high-profile gigs because of that potential to reach a global audience.
But even getting on stage, there's the question of how those performances are done.
It's not just entertainment. It's about showcasing the artistry, the cultural meaning behind the music, educating audiences, giving context. The experience should be fun, but also informative, right?
There was a quote that stuck with me. It said, "Live performances, they're an opportunity to tell the story behind the music, to connect with audiences on a deeper level."
It's more than just the notes and the rhythm. It's the heart, the soul of it, and that can resonate with anyone, no matter where they're from.
What's becoming clear is that promoting African music, it's this multi-layered thing. It's about partners, branding, digital tools, cultural respect. But there's one more piece we haven't touched on.
Content creation. Videos, social media, blog posts, behind-the-scenes stuff. Content is king these days.
You got it. And these sources, they point out how agencies are putting more resources into high-quality content because it grabs attention, shows off talent, and connects with audiences in a deeper way.
Yeah, one article even mentioned how important it is to create content that tells a story, gives fans a look into the artist's world, how they work.
Building that connection, yeah. Making fans feel like they're part of it all.
I saw this amazing behind-the-scenes video, this Afrobeats artist in the studio. It wasn't just about the music, it was the vibe, the collaboration, the passion.
That's the kind of stuff that resonates, makes people invested in the artist and their music.
So it's not just about flashy visuals or slogans, it's about keeping it real, giving fans a genuine look into the heart of the music.
Exactly, and that realness needs to be in everything. The message, the look, the partnerships.
It goes back to respect, doesn't it? Respect for the music, the artists, and the cultures they represent.
Absolutely. Every decision, every strategy, every piece of content should reflect that respect.
We've covered so much ground here, but there's one big question we can't ignore. Yeah, how to make sure that when African music succeeds globally, those benefits, they go back to the artists and communities who created it.
Right. We've talked culture, ethics, but now it's the big picture, long-term sustainability.
It's about a system where success isn't just measured by streams or charts, but by how much it empowers artists, how it preserves cultural heritage.
One source used the phrase cultural equity, which really hit me. It's making sure that globally, The voices and stories of African artists are valued, that they have a place at the table.
It's about fair pay, owning their rights, having chances to grow and develop.
I remember this quote. African music success shouldn't just make corporations richer, it should empower the next generation of artists.
Powerful stuff. It shows we need a model that's more fair, more sustainable, one that puts the well-being of artists and their communities first.
So we're not just celebrating the music, we're investing in its future, creating something that benefits generations to come.
Something we should all be passionate about.
This deep dive has been, well, it's been a journey. We've gone beyond just strategies, haven't we? We've explored the values that should guide how we engage with this music. Really eye-opening.
It really has. And wrapping up, I have this feeling of hope, excitement for what the future holds for African music.
Me too. And for our listeners, if you want to explore more, there's so much out there. Articles, documentaries, even online communities dedicated to supporting African music.
So go out there, find those resources, connect with the music on a deeper level, become part of this global movement.
This has been such a great conversation, and I hope it's made you curious too. Go explore, find new artists, let the music move you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into promoting African music globally. We were just talking about, how important it is that everyone benefits when African music finds success globally. Thinking long term, one thing these sources really highlighted was, well, the need to build up the infrastructure, but within Africa itself.
Yeah, it's not just exporting the music, right? It's about building up those systems that create it, sustain it in the first place. So investing in things like recording studios, music schools, even performance venues. I'm seeing a lot about distribution networks, copyright protection too.
Those are the foundations. One article even compared it to, like, building a house. You can't build on shaky ground. You need that solid base.
Great analogy. And I guess by strengthening things within Africa, you're not just helping artists now, but those will come later too, future musicians.
Exactly. It's like planting a seed so a whole forest can grow. And talking about growth, I was struck by how much these sources emphasized collaboration. Not just within Africa, but internationally too.
So it's not just about solo artists hitting it big. It's more like a network, everyone supporting each other, success for all.
Exactly. Imagine collaborations between artists from different countries in Africa, or, partnerships with producers and labels globally, even cross-cultural music exchanges, that kind of thing. All of that helps get the music heard further, builds community.
One expert said, the future of African music is global, but its roots will always be in Africa. That really stuck with me, honoring where it comes from, but embracing those global connections too.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Reminds us this is about building bridges, understanding each other, celebrating how music connects us.
This whole deep dive has been a real journey, Not just strategies, but the values that should guide us when we engage with this music. Eye-opening for sure.
Yeah, it has. And wrapping things up here, I just feel this sense of hope, excitement for the future of African music. It's bright.
Me too. And for anyone listening who wants to go deeper, there's so much out there. Articles, documentaries, online communities, lots of ways to get involved.
So find those resources, connect with the music on a deeper level, become part of this movement. It's growing all the time.
This has been a fantastic conversation, and I hope it sparked some curiosity for you too. Go explore, find some new artists, let the music move you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into promoting African music globally.